this night moonlight, this All Hallows Eve, prepare to be scared, frightened, and disturbed. Happy Halloween.
Sup? Welcome to another episode of the Ghoul Friend Hour. I'm your host, your ghost host, Morgan Fezza.
I'm your host go spooky bitch, ho, Taylor Jones.
Spicy. Extra spicy.
I'm a ghost, Rachel Faust.
Awesome. And welcome to our super fun and creepy and spooky Halloween special. We are so excited to kind of chat with you guys, not only about just like the history of Halloween, but some of the other rituals that take place on Halloween from all around the world, how it's celebrated, why we love it so much, and then kind of getting to the darker side of Halloween. We're going to mix a little true crime in there and really kind of leave you guys with a spooky feeling in your stomach. So I would say buckle up.
Buckle
Or
up.
I was literally just going to say, as Taylor would say, buckle up, bitches.
Be right back.
So one of the first things that I kind of wanted to talk about is before we start talking all this, Halloween mumbo jumbo, and I feel like it's kind of due that we chat a little bit about what this holiday is, where did it come from, and why we celebrate it. So just like any kind of folklore, any kind of tale, it's kind of like a big game of telephone. It starts at one thing and then slowly just kind of evolves into something bigger and greater. So Halloween obviously is a holiday that's celebrated every year on October 31st. And this year it's falling on a Thursday, which is kind of womp womp, as we all would love for Halloween to just be a weekend or just every day of the year for the rest of our lives, maybe. But the tradition originated with the ancient Celtic festival of, it's spelled Samhain, but it's pronounced Samhain, I believe, when people would light bonfires and wear costumes to ward off ghosts. In the 8th century, Pope Gregory III designated November 1st as a time to honor All Saints. And soon All Saints Day incorporated some of the traditions of Samhain. The evening before was known as All Hallows Eve and later Halloween. Over time, Halloween, like I said, grew into something bigger and evolved into a day of activities like trick-or-treating, carving jack-o'-lanterns, festive gatherings, donning costumes, and eating treats. And I think most of us can kind of say that I don't think Halloween is necessarily just a day anymore. It's kind of like a bad bitch birthday. It's something you celebrate. It's not a day. It's a whole month, and actually it's kind of growing into like people who like truly love Halloween at their roots and it's who they are as a person. You start celebrating this shit in July. Like as soon as those decorations hit stores and you can start getting spooky down to your bones, I mean, it's become like months long. There's just a feeling, there's a vibe to it. I feel like it's in the air. It's just, there's a warm, cozy nostalgia that I think makes us love it so much. And so kind of speaking to that, Halloween's origins date back to the ancient Celtic festival of it says Samhain, but I think it's Taylor. Do you know if it's Samhain? I thought it was Samhain. That's how you say it. Do we have no? I think you're muted. I think you're
Taylor,
muted. I wonder if I can unmute her. Can I unmute Taylor?
Come back to us, Taylor.
Shut up. Listen, I forgot I was unmuted. Anyways, I said I should know better because I've seen Trick or Treat. Wait, hold on, ready?
I thought it was like pronounced Samhain. That's how I've heard it.
It says Samhain. Samhain?
So we'll say Samhain or Samhain. Either way, if somebody can kind of comment and let us know.
Samhain.
Samhain? Okay.
Mhm.
So, yeah,
Samhain.
so the Celtics who lived 2,000 years ago, mostly in the area that is now Ireland, the United Kingdom, and northern France, celebrated their New Year on November 1st, believe it or not. So we, as we know it now, our New Year always begins January 1st. Theirs started November 1st. So this day marked the end of summer and the harvest and the beginning of the dark, cold winter, a time of year that was often associated with human death. The Celts believed that on the night before the New Year, the boundary between the worlds of the living and the dead became blurred. And on the night of October 31st, they celebrated Samhain when it was believed that the ghosts of the dead returned to Earth. And in addition to causing trouble and damaging crops, Celts thought that the presence of otherworldly spirits made it easier for the Druids or Celtic priests to make predictions about the future. For the people entirely dependent on the volatile natural world, these prophecies were an important source of comfort during the long, dark winter. So, to commemorate the event, Druids would build up these huge sacred bonfires where the people would just gather to burn crops and animals as sacrifices to the Celtic deities. And during the celebration, the Celts wore costumes typically consisting of animal heads and skins and attempted to tell each other's fortunes. When the celebration was over, they relit their hearth fires, which they had extinguished earlier that evening, from this sacred bonfire to help protect them during the coming winter. So, I mean, pretty close to what we do now, just not as like Viking-ish.
True that.
Like we have bonfires. You know, we
True.
bob for apples. We do all of these things. So I guess I'm going to kind of segue into what other traditions, Taylor, Rachel, do we have on Halloween?
So here we have the history of trick-or-treating, which is borrowed from European traditions. So Americans began to dress up in costumes and go house to house asking for food or money to practice that eventually became today's trick-or-treat tradition. Young women believed that on Halloween that they could divine the name or appearance of their future husband by doing tricks with yarn, apple parings, or mirrors. So one of the things I'd read, I think it might have been Ireland, that the bobbing for apples came. And if you were to get one first, you would be married first. And then you were to take the skin off and throw it over your shoulder. And that might make an initial of who it might be, which was.
Imagine just like hitting your husband, your future husband, dead in the face with an apple.
Yeah.
That's him, ladies.
No, see, I would be the one that would accidentally throw the apple and then have the skin in my hand and then realize that it was supposed to be the other way around.
Yeah.
They would be like, shun the witch.
Yeah. In the late 1800s, there was a move to America to mold Halloween into a holiday more about community and neighborly get-togethers rather than ghosts and pranks and witchcraft. At the turn of the century, Halloween parties for both children and adults became the most common way to celebrate the day. Parties focused on games, food in the season, and festive costumes. Parents were encouraged by newspapers and community leaders to take anything frightening or grotesque out of Halloween celebrations. Because of these efforts, Halloween lost most of its superstitious and religious overtones by the beginning of the 20th century.
Interesting.
Okay.
Interesting.
Now we're gonna talk about some Halloween parties.
My fave.
Them Halloween parties. So by the 1920s and the 1930s, Halloween had become a secular but community-centered holiday, with parades and townwide Halloween parties as the featured entertainment. Despite the best efforts of many schools and communities, vandalism began to plague some celebrations in many communities during this time. By the 1950s, town leaders had successfully limited vandalism, and Halloween had evolved into a holiday directed mainly at the young. That's fucked up. Dude, that's fucked up. That's a crime. Due to the high numbers of young children during the 50s baby boom, parties moved from town civic centers into the classroom or home. That's also fucked up. Where they could be more easily accommodated. Whoever thought this was a good idea can die in a hole. Alone. Sorry.
Dang,
That's cold,
Taylor. That's cold.
You're fucking with my holiday. Between
You know it's not
1920
going to be cold? Your coffee in hell. Just kidding.
Yeah, but I like cold coffee. Oh, you're right. That would be fucked up because I don't like hot coffee. That is fucked up. I'm gonna cry. But anyways, okay. Sorry.
Okay,
Between
all right.
1920 and 1950, the centuries-old practice of trick-or-treating was also revived. Trick-or-treating was a relatively inexpensive way for an entire community to share the Halloween celebration. In theory, families could also prevent tricks being played on them by providing the neighborhood children with small treats. That don't work. I don't know who thought that was a good idea. That don't work no more. Thus, a
Well, I
new
feel like
American
we're talking about a
tradition
time
born.
period too where they would like make meals out of like gelatin.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Like when you're putting hot dogs, peas, and carrots into a gelatin mold, that's a problem. So I don't really
You're a
trust any of
problem.
their
You're a
ideas.
real problem.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. Today, Americans spend an estimated $6 billion annually on Halloween, making it the country's second largest commercial holiday after Christmas.
How'd you
And
know
I
about
just
the
wanted to be
Halloween
publicly
budget?
known that 5 billion of those funds are coming from Rachel Faust's
I was
wallet.
about to say, how do you guys know about my budget?
No, honestly, I think collectively between the three of us, we probably make up like 85% of that.
Let me tell you,
Pretty much.
75% of my attic is Halloween decorations, and then I have this small little sliver.
I was gonna say
Christmas
Rachel
stuff.
probably has like one angel like in the back, and she's like, "This is the Christmas angel. This is what we put out."
Exactly. I'm like, the most room up there is like taken by the Christmas tree, but like I've got like 2 boxes of Christmas stuff where I have like 7 totes of Halloween stuff.
Okay, so the real question is, would you have a black Christmas if you could?
Oh, I would. I really want to do
You
Nightmare
would,
Before
though.
Christmas this year. I really do.
I love it. I remember like trying to convince, because you know how Matt's like, he's like super Christian, so, and they're like, listen, there's nothing wrong with that, but like he's very like he's
said
a
that.
much better, like, I'm Christian, but I'm like hood Christian, where like he's like Bible Christian. So like I feel like we were in Michael's and I was like, oh, I was like, a black Christmas tree. And I was so excited. I was like, we need a Halloween tree. He's like, we cannot put a black Christmas tree in our house. He's like, Christmas is like, that's God's holiday. He's like, it needs to be a green tree, decorated in reds
Only
and
likes
greens.
green trees.
And I was like, in my demon voice, I was like, give me the tree. Like, I was like, I was like, I'm not putting up with this. We're getting, and it was only like a 4-foot, like little.
Oh,
Like,
that's
it's only like,
It's probably in Morgan's trunk right now.
a burnt Christmas tree.
I honestly, to be honest, I don't know where that tree is. I'm kind of, now that you said that, I'm
My
like,
room.
You should be like, oh, it's dark green. You don't see it? Black.
Just
No,
gaslight the
dark
fuck
green.
out of him.
Yes, that is dark green.
Like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Everyone
Well-
should donate $1 to Morgan's Black Christmas Tree Fund.
my Black Christmas tree fund.
For only
And if we
$1 a
can
day.
collectively all gaslight my husband, I think if 500 of us say that it's dark green, he
That is
can't
a
say
dark
no,
green
it's
Christmas
not.
tree.
Or instead of like sending money, just like send a comment, and that'll add to the gaslighting list.
Yeah,
There you go.
So, comments.
there we go.
Like reasons why Matt needs a black Christmas tree.
Oh my gosh. And then I'm like, well, we can decorate it for so many things. He's like what? He's like, you can decorate a normal Christmas tree for like Valentine's Day, Easter. I'm
Mhm.
like, we can have a Halloween Valentine's Day. We could find black, orange, and girlfriend hour color hearts. We can find, we can make it work. It's all about priorities. And if you prioritize making it work, it'll work. But it's
happening.
fine. I got my 4-foot Halloween tree. Does it make an appearance often? It hasn't the last 2 Halloweens because we've just been busy, but I'm starting to wonder if in those 2 Halloweens it's disappeared somehow magically. But there was one thing I did want to add in. So another like little tradition of Halloween was All Souls Day and soul cakes, which I remember listening to this from my grandma because she had talked about this. It was called the American what the heck was it? Hold on.
American dream. I don't know why that came to mind. I'm sorry. That was my ADHD entering the chat. Sorry.
American dream.
American dream.
So basically, like during festivities, like during like Halloween tradition and whatnot, like that, whatever, they like, how do I say this? Because I don't like the way that it's like worded per se, but like in my research that I did, there like is not wealthy citizens, and they would beg for food, and families would give them pastries called soul cakes in return for their promise to pray for the family's dead relatives. So like you would essentially give people who didn't have money to feed their families, or maybe stuff like that, you would give them these cakes in exchange for their prayers for salvation. And so I thought that was interesting. And it was very like pushed by the church, because they wanted to replace the ancient practice of like leaving food and wine for roaming spirits, because they thought that that was like taboo. It's kind of like a no-no. And so this had me kind of laughing, because I remembered, as I was like reading about this, I was like, oh, I feel like I remember my grandma talking about this. And then when I looked at like what it was called, I thought this was even funnier, because it basically, they called the practice as going a souling. Like that was the name of like when you would go out, and like you would basically, like, the children would go out and they would visit houses in their neighborhood and be given ale, food, and money. And like it all started with soul cakes. So like it started as giving people who didn't have food these cakes, and then it was like, well, if we start to do that, and then these kids are going out, now they're getting kind of little treats. It's, instead of trick-or-treating, it's called going a souling. And it kind of made me laugh, because I was like, it reminds me of like the Aldi's brand names. Like instead of Pringles, it's like shingles. So instead of trick-or-treating, we're going to call this going a souling.
I like it.
Okay.
Rebrand.
So yeah. So I thought that rebrand. I thought that was interesting. And I was like, oh, I got to add that in there. But yeah, I mean, Halloween is a lot of fun. And as you can see, the US, well, a lot of our modern day rituals and stuff have stemmed from stuff overseas. And so I think that brings to the table the topic of, what other rituals do we see around the world? Taylor, do you want to incite us with, I don't know if incite's the right word. If you want to
Educate.
educate, do you want to intrigue us with some other Halloween rituals in other cultures?
Absolutely. Well, I'm trying to pick which one I want to do.
Taylor's gonna learn us something.
I'm gonna learn you guys something real good. You're gonna be educated tonight. I don't know why I said that. Perfect. Love it. Okay. So, in some areas of Spain, Halloween isn't complete without Halloween food, which actually includes roasted chestnuts, marzipan skulls, which I fucking love marzipan, so that sounds delicious, and pig's feet, known as, I'm going to apologize, I'm not good at Spanish, so please correct me, anybody. I picked it. I'm going to fuck this up. Dia de las Brujas, I think is how you'll say it. I think Witches Day in Catalonia. I can't do Spanish. I was never.
I like it. It sounded
I'm gonna
good.
apologize.
You gotta roll your tongue.
I knew the J was silent, so it's gonna be.
I like it.
Is there an R roll? Because I can't roll my R's. Anyways, this feast symbolizes prosperity for the upcoming winter months and is paired with wine and storytelling. I like that. Despite it being like interesting, because like obviously I would not be one for pig's feet, but there's no shame in that because everybody eats different things. But to like sit down and do storytelling and like that just sounds cozy.
Right?
I'd eat some pig's feet to do that. It's fun.
Pig's feet.
Marzipan skulls.
Ugh.
Oh my gosh. There's just I don't know. I think it's really cool to see like where we're at now versus like hundreds of thousands of years ago and how this like tradition has evolved. Because I feel like anytime that you love something, you should really look at like its roots and see where it started. So I don't know. I just think it's neat to see that like trick or treating was started with pound cakes and you know.
I love that most of these involve food. Like everything
Yeah.
is food.
See, we're all foodies.
Mm-hmm. Except now, because big companies got a hold on the holidays, now America's like just
Commercialized
cute
it.
little yeah. There's just a bunch of cute little like sick chunky monkeys that have to go to the doctors because we're all having bad eating habits. We're all eating chemicals. We're all chemical now. I think we're all genetically modified. I think they're genetically modifying us.
I like it.
Probably. But you know what? I'm still gonna eat those Reese's pumpkins.
Yeah.
Do you know what I just ate? I literally just ate a Reese's and a bunch of gummy bears before this episode.
Okay, well shoot. So each of us has to pick our favorite Halloween candy. So if you had to pick one, like when you used to go trick-or-treating, I know y'all did this. Like you would like go to the houses and you would try and get like as many as you could of like your favorite candy in your bag.
Mine was a combination between Reese's and Kit Kats.
Ooh.
I love
wonder
a
if it's
Reese's.
Russo gene. Huh?
Reese's is amazing, but I also love a Twix.
Ooh.
Mm-mm.
Twix is good too. The caramel.
I get those to
shortbread.
anybody else.
Good. Send them
When I was younger, if you would have asked me this when I was younger, I was super into Three Musketeers. And like me and my cousin were like joined at the hip. So like it was really funny because like this is an example. Like my aunt would make us like those like sunny side up eggs. I love the yolk, hate the eggs whites. She liked the egg whites and like hated the yolk. So like she used to literally make like 2 or 3 eggs and then cut around them, give me all the yolks and all her the egg whites. And where I'm going with this is on Halloween, we like used to literally go door to door, try and get as much candy as possible. Like I'm talking like we would fill our like pillowcases like huge, and then we'd get home and we would just totally go like total ADHD and section out all the candy. I would trade her I feel like she liked, I don't know if it was Milky Ways or Snickers. I want to say it was Snickers. And I used to give her all of my Snickers, and then she would trade me for her Three Musketeers. And like when I tell you, we would eat through mounds of like Three Musketeers. Like I was obsessed. But then as I got older, I was like a full-on Reese's girly.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it was a very tactical operation when we went trick-or-treating. We were very like skilled.
I have a confession I need to tell you guys.
Oh gosh.
I feel like you're gonna. I think I'm cursed. Because you said Three Musketeers, and Patrick doesn't like the way that I eat Three Musketeers. So what I do is I take the Musketeer, right? And I eat the chocolate off. Like I literally go around and eat the chocolate first, and then I eat the nougat last.
What?
That's how I like eating it, because I love the nougat so much, and I like the way they both taste, but at the same time, I also like to eat the nougat by itself.
What is nougat?
I don't know. It's just good. That's what it is. Yes, sweetie bees.
We don't know. We don't know the actual ingredients.
know.
It's delicious.
It's good. It reminds me of like, not marzipan, but if you ever go to like a bakery, so like we have a bakery called Anthony and Sons nearby, Morgan. I don't know if you've ever been to it.
And Sons,
They sell these like Italian nougat bars, and that's literally what like a Three Musketeers. But usually, I think in like Italy, and I could be wrong, but it seems like any places where there's like Italian food and like Italian cuisine, they sell these the nougat bars, and usually they put like peanuts and fruit and things like, what the hell? You got ghosts in your house?
Something's happening upstairs.
What in the world?
But they like to put like fruits and nuts and stuff in it, almost like a trail mix type of thing. It's okay. It's good.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I I mean, I might have to try that. I may try it for Halloween just for funsies.
I like it. I like the.
Because I like Three Musketeers. Like I still like them, but Reese's has definitely become the front runner of the candy bag.
I did a bad thing the other day, and I actually liked it, which was even worse. I
Oh,
ate
gosh.
a Kit Kat. It was the 2-pack.
Yeah.
Bit them both at the same time.
What? So you
I don't
just like
know.
you just raw dog
Yeah,
it. You didn't even
It
break-
kind of.
you didn't break
I'm
off-
not gonna lie.
Here.
A new experience.
Taylor didn't break off a piece of that Kit Kat bar.
She just
I
ate a
don't-
whole.
You're going against the physics of Kit Kat science.
Do you think Sam will come after me because I'm not following
Probably.
the rules?
Probably. You can't bite into a Kit Kat like that. It's not a chocolate bar. There's a reason it says break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar.
Mm.
But it's okay, because I'm not gonna lie, I've done it too. And I kind of like Kit Kat bars because they remind me of a little raft. You ever see like
what?
those?
What?
Like those like you know like those little you ever see like in movies like the little log rafts that they have?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't
Okay,
know.
buddy.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was my like out there thought of the day. I was like every time I see them they just remind me of like a little raft. Like I want to put like a little flag in the middle of it.
Okay.
Just wanted to let you guys know that.
You just enter in a little boat contest. Bring your little
And then
Kit
eat it
Kat.
afterwards.
Yeah. All that dirty
Okay.
lake water.
Anyways, we digress. We get delusional.
We're staying
But
It's not an episode without digressing.
true. But so from the Czech Republic, a cool ritual that they do is hide and seek in cemeteries.
Mm.
Which I mean that can be a really, really interesting game of like manhunt. Like I mean hide and seek is just like the kiddier version of manhunt, but I mean ultimately if we're gonna play that as an adult, it's probably super freaking scary in a cemetery. And so basically how they observe Halloween is they'll go to families' graves, they'll light candles to honor the dead, but others will take it a step further and they will play hide and seek in the cemeteries at midnight. And it's basically said that this game is a way to confront your fears and get closer to the spirit world. I truly thought when I was first reading this that it was going to say like you would invite like your dead relatives to play with you, and I'm like, that's absolutely terrifying. Imagine like midnight, you're just like, hey, all right, like that's like the hide and clap game from The Conjuring, like that freaks me out.
No, I'm okay.
I'm not trying to like run through. Where do you hide in the cemetery, really? Besides like trees and well, I guess if there's like mausoleums and stuff, but like, I mean, can you imagine? You're just like crouched behind a really small headstone. You're just like,
you see the ones that are like on the floor and someone's like laying right next to it. They're like, dude, I literally can see you.
Literally hiding like toddlers. You know how toddlers will stand behind like a broom and you're like
right there, gotcha.
Oh, you're like, and then you have to be like the good parent. You're like, oh my gosh, where is so and so? I can't
I don't know
find you. And they just, and the funniest part is they'll stand there and they're like, they really think they're getting one
like,
over
I got
on you. I cannot. So yeah. Okay, Rachel, your turn. Give us a fun.
Let's keep it light here with Cabbage Night in Scotland and Ireland, where in certain parts there is Cabbage Night, which involves youth, teenage, children pulling cabbage plants and throwing them at their neighbor's door. It's a mischievous tradition, pranking on Halloween. The roots of this custom lie in the cabbage to predict marriage prospects, but over time it's just evolved into playful mayhem.
Why would a fart vegetable determine my marriage prospect?
That's it.
Why would throwing an apple over your shoulder?
That's it.
I feel like they were very keen on fortune telling through vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to like grab a head of lettuce and see what I pick up.
Throw it at Matt, see what happens.
It's gonna be like, I'm gonna be like, I predict that this is really gonna hurt in about 5 minutes, and he's gonna be like, what? I'm like,
bam.
It
That's what
worked.
you get for not giving me a black Christmas tree.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's gonna really confuse him.
All right, Taylor, you're up.
I
I didn't realize that you had the eating souls cake on here as well.
Yeah, you made these.
I did. It's just another case of Morgan not reading things all the way through.
I don't either.
I
it's fine.
found the souls cake and I was like, "Oh my god, I remember my grandma talking about this." And I found it on the History Channel because I mean, it's like a legit thing. And then as I was looking at our ritual research, I was like, "Oh, like well, that was in there as well."
Yeah, well,
Well,
I don't think we talked about Austria yet, right?
Mm-mm.
This is how you know I wasn't. Not that I wasn't paying attention, but I forgot. So Austrians, I almost said Australians. Austrians believe Halloween night is ideal for communication with spirits. They'll often leave bread, water, and a lighted lamp out on the table to welcome the spirits of loved ones. For divination, they'll crack an egg into a glass of water and use the shape it forms to predict fortunes. Which I'm now curious, now reading that, if that originated from Austria, because I noticed that a lot of people in like the witch community or in other, I feel like there's other cultures out there too, maybe like native cultures, I could be wrong, where they also do that as well. So I wonder where it actually has stemmed from.
well, I was actually gonna say, like, when I had read this one, because like I sometimes do this. Like if I'm feeling like I'm having like really bad luck, I always so it's called limpia, I think is how you say it. And it's basically like egg reading. And it's like a traditional healing practice that's used a lot in Hispanic cultures to remove negative energy or like spiritual blockages. Or you can tell a lot about like if somebody's throwing shade your way. And you read it by cracking the egg, opening it, and then by the spikes and the bubbles. And then if somebody's being a trifling you know what, you throw some cayenne pepper on that bitch and a little bit of lemon juice, and then you shake it up, flush it down the toilet, and return to sender, my friend. That's usually
What
how
are
it
they?
goes.
What's the phrase they say? Return to sender like tenfold or something like that. Is that what the phrase is? Something like that. It's some kind of phrase like that.
Something like that.
I remember something like that.
Let's look it up.
It's like return to sender or tenfold or something.
What to chant?
Huh?
Oh no, this definitely doesn't. So it says, with this cleanse, I will rid myself of bad energy. After this cleanse, I will no longer be cursed with bad luck. So that's like I think that's like the simple one, because that's definitely not the one. That ain't the one that I've been preaching when I do a little egg cleanse. Yeah, but there's a ton that like there's different ones that you can do. They basically have ones for ridding negative energy. They have ways to egg cleanse for removing an evil eye. A way to read your aura. Like there's just so many different things that they use it for, and there's like a lot of preparation. And like there's like they believe that like certain ways that you dispose of it have certain outcomes. But one of the things is like bubbles. The things that you look for have different meanings. So there's like bubbles, strings, cloudiness, spikes, cages. If you see like the shape of an eye, or if you crack an egg and it's red, that's usually somebody has put mal de ojo. I think is how you say it, mal de ojo. Or like la brujeria. I can't say it. La brujeria, I think is how you say it. Right, like witchcraft, like they believe like
I don't know. I'll have to educate myself on that.
Yeah, so egg cleanses are pretty cool. So I'm trying to think of what's another fun one that we can chat about. There's so many.
Well, I mean, I figured we'd save that one for last, but I know we've got like the US one, but I didn't want to say it because I didn't know
Oh,
if
well,
we're gonna save that one for last.
just say it. Do you want to
Well,
save it for last?
I don't care. That's why I didn't say it before, and I went with the egg one because I figured it'd be best to save that one.
Okay.
Lost.
Well, this one I thought was also pretty cool. Is bread masks in the Caribbean. So some Caribbean islands honor the dead on Halloween with masks that are like made of bread. So families will knead dough into like a creepy, exaggerated face, and they're left to dry and hang in their homes. And the belief system behind it is that they are thought to represent their ancestors, and it basically keeps away evil spirits and offers an edible homage to the dead.
Interesting.
Yeah. So,
Pretty cool.
Rachel, hit us with another one.
All right. We have placing sand circles around homes in Sweden. So it's customary to pour circles of sand around the home and cemeteries on Halloween night. The belief is that if an evil spirit approaches, it'll stop to count every grain of sand before crossing, buying time until sunrise when the spirits return to the other side.
That reminds me of Leprechaun.
Like, I'm going to trick you.
Have you guys have seen Leprechaun, right?
No, I've heard of it. I've seen the trailer, but I never got around to watching it.
It's not like a super spoiler, but you have to watch Leprechaun. It's so good. It's just such a classic. But there's like he in like true Leprechaun fashion, like one of his weaknesses are like if you throw dirty shoes at him, he has to stop and shine them.
Oh, dude, I'm
So-
set then because all my shoes are dirty and stinky. Does stinky make it worse? Because my shoes are kicking.
I don't know, but like yeah, and Matt always used to think it was the funniest thing. He used to send me like gifs because I would like leave my shoes by the front door in our apartment, and like he like would send me the little gif of him stopping to like clean the shoes, but basically they would like throw it to try and buy themselves time because like he physically can't like help himself. Like if you throw a dirty shoe at him, he like gets frustrated because he has to stop and he has to clean them properly, so it like gives you some time to get away. But it's really funny, and I'm like, that's what that just reminded me of. Can you imagine like you see a spirit coming for you and they're like, but wait, I have to stop and count all these grains of sand.
Please count.
You wake up, it's like 3:00 in the morning, they're like 1,000, 2,000, 2,001.
Oh my god.
Go ahead, Taylor. Hit us with another good one.
All right, shall like the one we were gonna talk about.
Yeah, hit us with that one because then we can break into some other fun stuff.
Some spooky stuff. All right, so we saved the good one for last. I'm not gonna talk like, or should I? Maybe I should talk like that.
Taylor stepped out for a second. Earl just joined us.
Yeah, guys. So we're gonna talk about Mischief Night in the United States and the UK. It's also known as Devil's Night. You know, like Satan. Mischief Night. It happens. It happens on October 30th. And it's an unofficial day for pranks. Which, by the way, I don't even think that's really a thing anymore. Like, I don't even think Mischief Night really happens anymore because I feel like when I was in high school, as soon as I graduated, I felt like it died down. Like, I rarely.
I remember seeing one
TP.
time toilet paper and trees. Like
That was the thing, but I feel like I rarely see that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny
I
that
don't
you
know.
bring that up because I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I don't.
You
think-
really don't, because a lot of parents are like, "Don't do it. Like, you're gonna get yourselves in trouble." I don't know.
Yeah, because I'm
Anyways,
like, I do
so-
remember being like a youth waking up and like I always
Yeah.
knew. I used to sit on my front step with like, I was like armed with stuff. Like I was
Yeah.
like, you want to throw eggs because I'm gonna throw them back. Like,
They're,
and it may not crack. It may just get pegged with a full on.
they're hard boiled.
You might end up with a welt from this, but,
It's
we're
like
not doing
it's
that.
like some never been kissed kind of shit.
Seriously, but it's like I was like I kind of in a way I kind of miss like I don't miss like the cleanup because it's like you used to wake up and in like Lake Hiawatha the town would be demolished. How these kids even had that much toilet paper is beside me. But like it was just like demolished, and so like you used to sit out on your front step or like you would have like little block parties like to kind of like deter like the kids from like coming out, but I was never allowed out on Mischief Night. Were you guys?
I wasn't either. No.
Yeah, that's because
No.
we were
I'm
good
gonna.
children.
That was a good noodle. I'm gonna say this two sentences quick, and then I'm gonna say something on that because I just thought of it and it actually was cracking me up. But some towns, especially Michigan, saw severe property damage over the years, so many communities keep a close watch on this night. The pranks range from egging houses to more sinister acts depending on local customs. Now, when you said about the eggs, I just thought, or not eggs, the toilet paper, it just made me think of, can you just imagine? Because you know that there was like kids who would go out and buy the toilet paper, but then you know that there was the kids that couldn't afford to go out and get the toilet paper. Like they probably just didn't have any money, and like their parents were probably like, "No, you're not going to go do that."
Yeah.
So I can just imagine like a mom waking up the next morning, going to the bathroom, and then they're like, "Oh shit, there's no more toilet paper." Then they go to the closet and realize that all the toilet paper they just bought the other day is completely fucking gone.
Which honestly, as an adult, that would piss me off because toilet paper is
Right?
fucking expensive.
It is.
Like as a kid, I'm like, why do parents get so mad about stuff? I'm like, let's just let us live. And then I'm like, bro, if Maisie used all of our toilet paper to string up somebody's tree, I would punch her in the neck. Like I would be so mad. I would be like,
Everything
why?
costs $1 million now.
It's insane.
Seriously.
But yeah, there's Mischief Night.
Dang.
Yeah.
Mischief Night is it's like a rite of passage, but at the same time it kind of sucks.
Dude, listening to all these other traditions are so much nicer than ours. Like ours is so
Like
cool.
we're gonna vandalize.
Like we're so fucked up.
I feel like the US is like we're the
O'Doyles.
Yeah, I was trying to
America
think of a good
is the
comparison.
O'Doyles.
We are the O'Doyles. Like it's like
Doyle
you
rules.
look at these other things and they're actually like really creative, like bread masks and like or like how people used to carve turnips. That was where jack-o'-lanterns came from. Like they would carve parsnips and turnips and they would just use like root veggies to make these fun things.
Ruining things.
I'm like, now we go and we pay freaking out the ass to sweat our butts off at a pumpkin patch, yell at our kids, like pay like out the butt for apple cider, and then go home and like carve one jack-o'-lantern and call it
Which
a
will
day.
literally, I wish I could show you guys, but I can't move my camera. Patrick and I carved pumpkins the other day, and he did one with a big smile, and now the pumpkin's deteriorating, so it literally looks like, hey guys, you want to go skiing? Like, that's what it literally looks like.
I feel like the pumpkins are like rotting super fast. Like I carved mine and it just like within like 3 days it was done.
His started growing mold the day after we literally carved it. I don't know why.
All right, quick conspiracy break. They're putting shit in the air.
Yep.
It's those chemtrails. It's the chemtrails. The chemtrails are deteriorating our pumpkins.
Oh God.
All right, so we've talked about the start of Halloween, how it came to be, some of the fun things that people do to celebrate Halloween, but a lot of people don't really talk about the darker side of Halloween and sometimes the things that come with that. So we thought we would bring up a little bit of true crime that were kind of tied into Halloween. So trigger warning, some of the true crime cases will have mature themes and may not be suitable for all audiences. This
Morgan,
is my trigger.
Morgan, pat yourself on the back.
I've grown as a
trigger
host.
warned. We trigger warned beforehand.
I'm pulling this out of my ass as we go. So I'm actually proud that like it was like pretty like it's pretty spot on for like a warning. It sounded professional. Because I could have just been like, hey, trigger warning, this shit's about to get serious. Buckle up or get the fuck out. But instead I was like, it's for mature audiences. So if this is not suitable for you, please step out and end our live.
Get off the bus.
But yeah, so who's kicking it off? Who's giving us the first true crime story?
I'll actually go because I feel like my story plays a really important part into Halloween today. So I will begin with my story. I ain't gonna talk like this, I swear to God. All right, so
Earl.
we have a man by the name of Ronald Clark O'Brien, who back in, I think it was the 50s or 70s, back in the 70s, he was known as the Candyman or the man who killed Halloween. And he actually plays a huge role in part of like how Halloween is celebrated today when it comes to candy. So Ronald Clark O'Brien, he was born October 19th, 1944, and he had died March 31st, 1984. He was an American man who was actually convicted of killing his 8-year-old son named Timothy on Halloween in 1974 with a potassium cyanide-laced pixie stick that was collected during a trick-or-treat outing. And he actually poisoned his son in order to claim life insurance money to ease his own troubles, as he was $100,000 in debt, which in today's world, that's probably like,
bro.
Yeah.
There's steps. There's steps we can take before killing our children. Can we just make note of that, please?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And he actually also distributed the poison to his daughter and his other 3 children in an attempt to cover up his crime, but neither the daughter or the other children ate the poison candy. And so he was convicted of capital murder in June of 1975 and sentenced to death. But it wasn't until March of 1984 where he was actually executed by lethal injection. But a little like short backstory about Timothy, about how it all went down. So again, kind of like what Morgan said, if you are like triggered by like anything involving like children being harmed in any way, I'm gonna try not to talk too much in detail because I don't think they're gonna go too into detail about it. I've read some of it, but if you're not okay with that, I would skip this part, just a trigger warning. So basically on October 31st, 1974, O'Brien, the father, he took his 2 children trick-or-treating in Pasadena, Texas, in his local neighborhood. And his neighbor and the neighbor's 2 other children went with them as well. And after visiting a home where the occupant had failed to answer the door, the children had grown impatient and they ran ahead to the next home while O'Brien stayed behind. He eventually caught up with the group and produced 5 21-inch pixie sticks, where he would later claim he was given from the occupant of the house that had not answered the door. At the end of the evening, O'Brien gave each of his neighbors 2 children a pixie stick and 1 each to Timothy and Elizabeth. Upon returning home, O'Brien gave the 5th pixie stick to a 10-year-old boy whom he recognized from his church. So before bed, Timothy asked to eat some of the candy he collected, and according to O'Brien, he chose the pixie stick. Timothy had trouble getting the powdered candy out of the straw, so O'Brien helped him loosen the powder. After tasting the candy, Timothy complained that it tasted bitter. O'Brien then gave his son Kool-Aid to wash the taste away. Timothy immediately began to complain that his stomach hurt and ran to the bathroom where he began vomiting and convulsing. O'Brien later claimed he held Timothy while he was vomiting and the child went limp in his arms, and Timothy O'Brien died en route to the hospital less than an hour after consuming the candy. So this basically raised fear in the community. And fast forward to all these years after that, it's basically why there's a lot of other stories, but this is one of those big stories that kind of pushed parents to be like, we need to check your candy. So it kind of like set a fear in a lot of parents. And I'm sure there was many, many, many other incidences, but I guess this is one of the more recorded earlier incidences when Halloween started becoming more of a big thing. So I thought that was really interesting. That's really sad too, because like
that must have been where Trick or Treat got like that scene in Trick or Treat. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, maybe, yeah, with the principal and the kid. Maybe.
Because it's awfully like it's loosely based off. Like I feel like it's loosely kind of painting that same scene.
Yeah.
Very spooky. And I mean, it says always check your candy.
That's pretty
interesting.
Crazy. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I mean, not cool, but like cool, like
cool,
as in
cool,
like
not cool.
not cool, but like cool as in all right. We wrapped that one up. That was
interesting to know where that stemmed from.
Yeah. Yes, interesting to know, but like that's absolutely terrible. And I'm kind of I'm not sorry that he got lethal injection.
I just want to know who thinks that's a good idea, like especially on your own children. That's crazy.
Can we just make a PSA? Insurance fraud never works out. It never works out. Like, watch crime TV. So if you're plotting anything and you truly believe in your delusional brain that you should kill somebody off for insurance money, turn that brain right back around. Go
Immediate
work
red
out.
flag.
Go release some
Ain't gonna work.
dopamine somewhere. Have a good meal
eat some
and
candy.
recontemplate why you're misprojecting your anger and figure out how to get yourself out of debt. There's a guy named Dave
There it is.
Ramsey. He's pretty cool. Shout out Dave Ramsey.
There you go.
All right. So yeah. So Rachel, what you got for us?
All right. So this is very, very unfortunate. This is very it's a lot. So in 2014, Chelsea Brooks' tragic story unfolded around Halloween, beginning with her mysterious mysterious disappearance from a party and ending in a heartbreak months later. So on October 25th, 22-year-old Chelsea attended the largest Halloween party in Monroe County, Michigan, dressed as Poison Ivy from Batman. With nearly 600 attendees at the rural gathering, Chelsea became separated from her friends. Witnesses last saw her speaking to a man around 3 a.m. on October 26th, unaware that would be her final moments. When Chelsea didn't return home, her family reported her missing, launching a large-scale search. And I'm like, 600 people, I can't even, it sounds like a nightmare, being in that many people.
I was going to say 600, you said?
600 people.
And this is just like a house party?
This is some kind of like just a large Halloween party. Yeah.
That sounds like I'm not going.
Yeah. Count me out. April 24th, 2015, her remains were found under a log at an abandoned construction site 10 miles away from the party. Nearby lay her costume, along with evidence of blunt force trauma to her head. Though some have initially thought her death may have been resulted from an injury at the party, forensic examinations indicted otherwise. So fractures to her face suggested that it was something more violent. Some people were believing it might have been an accident, but the medical examiner concluded that it was not consistent with an accident. She believed Daniel Clay, later arrested for the crimes, was responsible for the death. So his DNA was found on Chelsea's costume. Although he initially claimed her death was accidental, evidence including blood on the costume told a different story. Clay left multiple voicemails for his ex-girlfriend and then girlfriend admitting to the murder. Even though he was insistent that it was very unintentional, he left multiple voicemails on both of them saying, "I'm going away for a long time. I really messed up." And they were just like, what's happening here?
Yeah.
So despite his claims of accident, the severity of her injuries led to convictions of first-degree murder in 2017. He was sentenced to life without parole. And he even said, I had read that he apologized to her mom. He accepted a gift of a Bible from her, and he didn't want parole. So he was basically like, don't give me parole for this. The defense later tried to argue that Chelsea's injuries might have come from another source, but the conviction pretty much stood that he did this. So her tragic death was the highlight of vigilance, even at festive gatherings. What should have been a night of gathering and celebration turned into a heartbreaking reminder to look out for one another and ensure that everyone makes it home safely.
Yeah, I think that's a good announcement to kind of make on here is like Halloween's coming up on Thursday, guys. Number one thing, do not drink and drive. Be smart. There's tons of designated driver options. Which, hold on, I'm actually going to just, because I think it's a good moment. I know Uber, I don't want to get it wrong, but I know that Uber, like rideshare, there's rideshare options. They also have certain taxi services that are available free of charge in case you need transportation. So just be smart, no, not even buzz driving, like just be super smart about what you're doing on Halloween. Even with marijuana becoming legalized in a lot of places, it's still something. It's a substance that can still alter, your sober state. So I don't really know a good word for that, but it alters your sober status, and some people swear that they can drive under the influence. Just don't do it. Don't put yourself in that situation. Don't get a DUI. Don't get any other kind of driving while intoxicated, DWI, whatever. Be smart, be safe. When you're going out, always travel in packs, go with groups. Make sure everybody knows where you are. Share your location. Well, not everybody. Share your location with a select small group, like your family members or those that care and love about you. But just because Halloween is such a big holiday, you're dressing up, make sure people know what your costume looks like, people close to you, because God forbid you do go missing, things like that. Just knowing what you were wearing, because you're not wearing typical clothing. So people are not going to be looking for you per se. So just being smart again, and using good judgment, and being conscientious about the decisions that you're making, because it's one night and it's not something you want to pay a lifetime for. So in short, don't be stupid. But yeah, so that's my PSA. Thanks for coming to my TED talk.
As my dare officer in elementary school once said, "Be smart, don't start."
I love that. Be smart, don't start. There you
Be
go.
smart, don't start.
There you
As
go.
Mark Pitching, he would say, head on a swivel, be aware of your surroundings.
What are the we gotta get screenshots of the Delaware. I don't know if New Jersey has them, Taylor. Delaware has the crazy. I want to meet the person behind our driving billboard.
The signs on, yes, we get
And
the
it was
weirdest
like,
ones.
what did it say? It was like when Top Gun was a big thing. They made one. It was like, Maverick can fly at speeds of 120. It doesn't mean you should. And I was like,
yes,
or what?
It's all along New Jersey too, and I just want to know who thought this was a good idea. Honestly,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get into a crash because of these stupid ass sayings that
I'm
they
like,
put on
what
these
did
boards.
that say?
Like,
Yeah.
what?
Like, I'll get it.
But yeah, so play stupid games, win stupid prizes. We all know the deal. Be smart, be a responsible. And that's not to say that what happened here wasn't smart or anything like that, because this was absolutely not her fault. And this is definitely not how she planned her Halloween night. But it's just a reminder to us that we always have to stay vigilant and be on our A game, even when we're in crowds with people that we're comfortable with, because sometimes it's the people you least expect and are the most trusting with that can be the most dangerous, as we've learned through some of our other true crime cases. So again, just I guess another good piece of advice is trust your gut. If something feels wrong, it probably is. So just keep that in mind, and stay safe. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, beaches.
Yeah. So the one that I chose was Nathan Brooks, and he's kind of famously known as the guy who got Halloween canceled, which was kind of a big thing, because I mean, I feel like the sun could be imploding and we'd probably still be trick-or-treating. Like, we would just be like, but this was kind of, and the reason why I chose this story is because I'm on a wormhole of the what the hell was it called? The Satanic Panic that kind of happened like late 80s, 90s. It was like a big thing. And so I'm watching a show called Hysteria, and learning about this case, I was like, oh, I'm like, this happened during that time period. And it was kind of partly the reason that Halloween was canceled. So yeah. So basically, nobody was out trick-or-treating in the streets of Bel Air, Ohio, for Halloween about 20 years ago, because trick-or-treating was canceled. They were absolutely adamant about it. and basically said that Satan and the unknown were to blame. Nathan Brooks, who was a 17-year-old student of Belair High School, was apprehended by officers at an undisclosed Belair residence not long after he slaughtered both of his parents. So again, I'm going to insert just a little bit of a trigger warning. It is a little bit gruesome. I'm going to try and keep it to a minimum because I don't want to re-traumatize anybody or bring up anything that could be considered like especially heinous. But he killed his parents, and the media outlets basically reported he then told the sheriff, Tom McCourt, people don't understand. And there was a lot of like, what does this mean? Like, what did that mean? And he basically said that he tried to talk to people. You know, he was very intelligent and very well read, but there was a fine line between madness and genius. So, modern day, kind of flash to modern day, Brooks is currently a prisoner at the London Correctional Institute in London, Ohio. It's a facility that rests west of Columbus, 158 miles away from the site where Brooks, when he was 17, murdered his parents inside of their rural home on September 30th, 1995. So Brooks shot his father, 53-year-old Terry, in the head 3 times at point blank range with a hunting rifle before he did, unfortunately, decapitate him at the base of his neck with a saw. And what made this so scary was the ritualistic manner in which he did this, because he did place the head in a punch bowl and then continued on to unalive his mother with some select tools. So his mother was only 52 at the time. Her name was Maryland, and she had just returned from a trip to Florida. What's even sadder about this case is Nathan's brother Ryan, who was 16 at the time of the murders. He now lives in Columbus, but he was the one who discovered his parents' bodies when he returned home in the early morning hours the next day. A reporter for the Wheeling newspapers was dispatched to cover the story. And the scene at the house was surreal, was described as surreal. And Sergeant Don Samples was one of the first people to respond, and police officers and sheriff's deputies were canvassing the property. The officers kind of going in and out of the house, however, they appeared absolutely like lost for words, stunned. They saw these, how do I word this? The body part of the father, they saw it in the punch bowl, and I think that as a community where this didn't often happen, it just really left them at a loss for words. And they discovered the body with arms above his torso, and it was just an absolutely insane scene. So without going into too much of the gruesomeness, because it's just absolutely terrible, the way that everything was set up was very reminiscent of a satanic ritual. So there was a collage of satanic images hung on Nathan's bedroom wall, and they found the rifle, the axe, and the knives, everything that was used in the murder. And almost immediately, the town's officials were like, hey, we are canceling trick-or-treating. We're canceling Halloween, because during the height of the satanic panic, the minute that you heard this kind of stuff, there was like murders taking place, people were being sacrificed, and it was just, it was another big game of telephone where the neighbors were panicking, and then that got to the media, and the media was riling people up, and so it was just a chaotic scene. And now that this happened, they were like, absolutely not, because rumors of the satanic worshiping in this neighborhood, they didn't know who else would have been involved with Nathan Brooks. So in their mind, they're like, well, if he's not acting alone, what if there's a group of them? What if they attack us for no reason? And he, at that point, had still not been found after the murders. So everybody was worried that these devil worshippers would do something to the kids, weren't sure if they were going to abduct people trick-or-treating. And so people genuinely fear what they don't know. So that's kind of what was happening. Apparently there was a list, and this has been confirmed, which added to the panic because somebody had gotten a hold of the fact that this list existed of people that he planned to unalive. But nobody knew who was on the list. So it was very clear that this wasn't a targeted just his parents kind of thing. This was like he had a roster and he planned to do more damage than what he originally did, and then kind of change the trajectory of his plan. Um, and so they were all absolutely terrified that that was a possibility. Bennett, so Bobby Joe was a classmate and a friend of Nathan's, and her daughter was caught off guard when everything kind of took place because she did not expect it. And in her words, she said she was shocked because she had never mentioned anything about it and he didn't try and recruit her, which a lot of what they believed, you know, these Satan worshipers, they would say, oh, they would recruit people and it was a cult activity. And the biggest and scariest thing about this case is just all the rumors and the uncertainty of what was getting kind of passed around. And so they would basically sit together at the library. They would talk about school. They would talk about their classmates. Like, it was not his character. It was not who he was. Um, his father, Terry, was the mailman at the time, and they would talk because he was concerned about his kids and how they were doing in school. And there was rumors that he put a lot of pressure on the boys when their grades were concerned. And there were some rumors that the dad was abusive, which was unconfirmed, but they think that that could have contributed to it. But ultimately, after all of this took place, about a jury of 6 men and 6 women did find Nathan guilty on 2 charges of aggravated murder and of using a firearm in the commission of a felony. It took them about 3 hours to complete this case and make a judgment call. And they kind of had an idea that he was going to be found guilty, and he was not going to be eligible for parole, but he surprisingly is eligible for parole in July of 2038. So the list that was apparently there, I kind of want to circle back to this. What was so creepy about it was when I was kind of doing some research, this list that he had was not just like names, but like he kind of categorized, wrote these names out, and then put next to each one how they were to be killed. And then there was also kind of some code language. So there were names of people left behind, and the authorities basically took this, collected it as evidence, and several expert witnesses testified that the reality of the unexpected turn of events made Brooks stray from his chosen plan and may have saved his younger brother's life. Because come to find out, he had plans on killing his younger brother, and his younger brother was actually out for the night. There's a lot of people who have talked about this being a major divine intervention because the timing about this, I was listening to a couple of podcast reports on this, and the timing, the way that it happened, it was like a smidge. And the instant reaction to this is really what kind of shook this guy up, and he kind of redirected his focus and probably spared all those people's lives, because the only people that ended up unfortunately perishing at his hands was his parents. So basically they called it his kill list, and he had put let me see here, a total of 16 names. So his brother was named as his first like plan victim. And so basically the plan of attack, next to his brother's name, were the words dismember and decapitate. And then mother and father were listed as second and third on the roster, and next to them it said eviscerate and crucify. And then decapitate was besides his father's name. And there
Yep.
was some debate on whether it was 16 or 19 names, but they were able to confirm officially that 13 first names, including 3 of 4 immediate family members, were scribbled on a notebook piece of paper, and that there had been names written which had also been like super crossed out, like he changed his mind on that. And then he drew sketches of Satan and pentagrams, and then he also jotted down Satan will show you peace at the top of the page. And so the names which had been released were Amber, Lisa, Justin, Jason, Ryan, Dave, Corey, Jill, Mike, and Ashley. And I'm not going to talk about some of the other words that he wrote next to them because I just think it's kind of triggering. But just he listed out some really disgusting ways to kill these people. And there's a really amazing article on WeLunk by this that you can read if you are curious about it. But Brooks basically planned to carry out the killings both individually and in groups. And he had everything organized on this piece of paper in a really like psychotic way. So yeah, so basically the church decided in the area, this is kind of going back to Halloween possibly being canceled. Everybody's panicking about, the Satan worshiper. They're thinking now other people are involved, and they're like, well, we don't want to take Halloween like away from the kids, but maybe we'll do something else. So they decided to start like a little like Boo at the Park type thing where they would just like serve like hot dogs and drinks, and it's a safe closed area. They knew that they could monitor it with the local police, and they could kind of keep things under control, and if he showed up they would be able to get their hands on him. And what I thought was kind of neat out of this tragedy was it could have been something that was absolutely terrible and heinous, but they still do this tradition to this day in this town because of that. And I was trying to figure out if this is where those trunk or treats had kind of stemmed from, because this was 20 years ago when they started to do this, and they basically would hold a little trick-or-treating thing in this church parking lot, and then it just grew from there, and it's now a town tradition. And they tried to kind of make light out of a really dark situation. So I thought that was really interesting out of this, how they kind of created a tradition out of true crime. So I think that it kind of tied into our Halloween theme of rituals, why we do things the way that we do. And so yeah, this guy's still serving his time. Like I said, he's up for parole in 2038, and he's just not a good person, clearly. But that's
crazy.
That's my story. Yeah. He's known as the guy that canceled Halloween.
That's fucked up.
So yeah, that one's a dark one. It was a little heavy, but I was like, I heard it on Lights Out podcast, which huge shout out to them because they're really good. But I heard it on there, and I was like, wow, I didn't know somebody actually like got Halloween canceled. So it was interesting. But yeah.
Ta-da!
We don't
Ta-da! That's our spooky episode. Now we're all like super quiet. We're like, God, that's fucked up.
It is.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. One fun fact I kind of wanted to throw in there because I didn't get to say it earlier is I really love that like black cats, they used to be like, how like black cats always used to be like bad luck. Now like people are like finally seeing that black cats are becoming like a good luck symbol, and like they're people are like adopting them more on Halloween specifically. And I was like the animal lover in me just had to talk about that win really quick, because that was another little thing that came up in research, was the belief system of black cats being bad luck and like an omen. And now in 2024 we can finally celebrate the black cat win.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people consider them as like familiars too.
They are. And ancient Egyptians, they were like, they would ward off evil. That's the cat was like the most highly regarded. They were held as high as kings and like pharaohs and stuff like that. So I thought that's, I don't know. I had to share that small win to lighten the mood a little bit.
I
We
like
just
it.
talked about a lot of
Murder.
murder.
Murder. What is it? What is it? Oh.
The apple orchard. Are you about to say that?
No. I was thinking
Oh.
of something about murder. Oh, murder.
That's what I was
I
saying.
forgot what you said, but then you just made me think of
We
can
can kill
go-
somebody. Oh, or the apple orchard.
the apple orchard.
Yeah. So I guess that we should wrap this up with, what are you guys doing for Halloween?
Just trick or
I'm
treat with the family.
No. Yeah, I'm having, I think, my sister and my brother over. We're gonna make, my sister requested penne vodka, and then we're gonna watch a spooky movie.
Are you gonna use like Halloween pasta?
I should. Where can I get Halloween pasta?
Aldi's has had it.
Good. Marshalls, Aldi's, yeah. I actually think that's where I just got my Halloween pasta, was Aldi's.
Oh, well, I'm going grocery shopping tomorrow, so I have to look now.
Yeah.
I'll take a
Is somebody knocking on one of your...
It's my
It's
5-year-old
Rachel.
ghost running around upstairs.
Oh,
for
I was
dinner.
like, it sounded like the bass in my things. I thought it was my door, and I'm like,
No, it's the 5-year-old. We're about to have dinner.
oh, so I wanted to tell you guys too. So when I went to Fort Delaware recently, something really spooky happened. Like before we even got on the boat to like go, I was sitting in my car and I was charging, like last minute charging a couple of things, and I was eating my apples and peanut butter, and like Emily and Colleen came over and they came to my driver's side door, and I'm talking to them or whatever, and all of a sudden like I caught out of the corner of my eye like lights. But I thought it might have been like a cop car. So I'm like, who got pulled over? So I turned around and I was like, there's no cop car. So I was like, So then I looked down and I haven't touched anything in the back seat. Like, haven't touched anything. Maisie's bubble wand, and it's not like a push thing. It's like an actual switch that you have to like switch on, and it's not easy. Like you have to push it, and like it was like on. It just turned on. And I literally like was like, what is that? And so like Emily opened up my back door and she pulled up the wand and she was like, what the heck? She's like, it's a bubble wand. And then I was like, that does not like turn on. I'm like, you have to like switch that. And she's like, she did it. And she was like, oh my God. She's like, you do. So it was interesting. Like it just turned on all by itself.
Spooky.
And I definitely, Fort Delaware, we have to do it together. DSGI is like amazing. I heard something call Emily's name and it was none of us, which was really like, it said it in a whisper, like right. And I'm deaf. Okay. I am deaf. I heard it loud and clear next to my ear. And then I felt like something tugged my book bag strap. Like it was just, there was a lot going on. So it was really cool. And then we heard what sounded like in a place where they did like artillery, very audible. Like we had to check because we were like, is somebody in here? Like audible, like metal clanging. Like they were like doing what they do on a normal day. And we were looking and it was crazy. Yeah, it was really cool though.
All about it.
Yeah. So definitely check out Fort Delaware. If you get the chance, even if it's just the tour, because you're probably gonna have to wait till next Halloween season.
Damn.
But that's our spooky Halloween episode. I mean, thanks for joining.
Spooky.
Stay spooky, and like we said, stay vigilant and smart. Always check your candy.
Don't talk to strangers.
Don't talk to strangers.
Don't get in any vans.
Cover your drinks. Don't leave them unattended.
Don't eat any pixie sticks.
Yeah, definitely not any pixie sticks.
Don't eat pixie sticks. Don't take candy from babies.
And don't overindulge in Reese's and give yourself diarrhea. Or do. I mean, if you want to live your life, but
fuck it, do it.
That's more of a suggestion.
You won't.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. And as always, stay
weird.
Weird forever.
Weird.
Oh, we have to say happy Halloween.
Okay.
Schmappy schmalomeen.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Happy
Halloweeners.
Happy wieners.
Happy wieners.
Happy wieners.
Bye, guys.
Bye.